Alright, fellas, today we are going over, well, Globbersaurus, as you read by the title. This is the third episode of Pedagondia Faunas School, and I just wanted to say thanks for the, support on the other two. But not only that, but I'm sorry for not getting PF content out. The game's not being updated, and I really don't want to blow my load on making a bunch of content for it that I enjoy making. I want to stagger it so that when there isn't updates, that there's stuff that I can do, and it's not just stagnant. So my bad for the lack of uploads on this specific thing, but yeah, jumping straight into it, you guys read the thumbnail. This is why Globbersaurus isn't bad and why it's actually good. And you probably just suck if you think it's bad because you're a fucking donkey. Jumping straight into it, why the fuck is there a car? Okay, I'm leaving that in. Jumping straight into it, Globbersaurus on paper may not look very good. Its combat stat. What the fuck? Why is there another fucking car alarm? Its combat stats on paper might not be that good. However, its utility and value comes out of other parts of its kit. Specifically, the main one is its speed. Globbersaurus is tied fastest terrestrial creature in the game right now with Slitherthan. So it is able to outrun basically everything that can kill it, and that is insane utility, especially given its other attributes, which we'll get into. Glob's other attributes that make it very, very powerful in the right hands are its insanely high food and water, having 350 food and 350 water, and its insanely high stamina at 250. If I'm not mistaken, these are all the highest in class in the entire game, more or less making it so that Glob is able to outlast everything when it comes to food and water, and can outlast everything when it comes to stamina. So, not only is it the tied fastest terrestrial creature in the game, it has also got the most stamina. Basically meaning, if you're a good player and you see people coming, you are going to be able to run away incredibly easily. And you are probably not going to be caught in the first place. There's only a few things that can potentially catch Glob, and those are Sliz and Krask. Those are the two terrestrial creatures that can potentially catch you if they get the jump on you. If you see them coming and you don't want to fight them, you turn around, you run away. It's that simple. Glob has just got too much stamina for those two things to catch up. And on top of that, if you really want to fight them and you're confident, you can beat both of those two things in a 1v1 if you're good enough. You don't have the bleed advantage on them, however, you're still able to win it with your superior base stats. You just have to be able to utilize Glob's unique attributes, like its pretty decent range and hitboxes, or hitbox rather, to, just beat the two main threats to you on land. Everything else would have to ambush you, and if you're a good player, you keep your eyes open, it's not that hard to prevent being ambushed and caught out by something a lot bigger and stronger than you. The only things in the entire game that are going to consistently be able to catch up with a Glob is flyers. And what makes that pretty funny is Glob can fight off all of the flyers other than Marl pretty efficiently. Um, Tupa is more or less just a bit tankier than Glob, does a bit more damage and whatnot, but you can still beat a Tupa in a 1v1. You can definitely beat a Hackatrice. You can definitely beat a Primordial Kabu. You can definitely beat a Buzzron if it doesn't, just try bleed you to death. But if you're a good player, you can probably beat the shit out of a Buzzron pretty easily. Marl is by far the biggest threat to Glob. However, it's still not an unwinnable matchup. If the Glob decides to, or if the Marl decides to land and try face tank you, you just try avoid it. And then if it tries to fly, you get into cover near a big dense forest or something and try make it fly into stuff whilst trying to chip damage onto it. It's all about consistent damage when it comes to a 1v1 with Marl as Glob, and if you're able to chip at it away and get it to a low enough point where you can just tank it, then, it's a pretty easy matchup for you. It's not a difficult one. I personally think that it's in the Marl's favor, but it's definitely not unwinnable for the Glob, especially if your skill level's high. As for the other flyers, there's not a ton they can do to Glob. Glob is statistically better than all of them, other than Tupa and Marl. And as I said, you can beat a Tupa. If you're not confident against Tupa, you do what I just described against Marl. if you're confident against Tupa, you can try get a couple hits on it before it hits you, and then try tank it. It's just the Flyers have a really tough time other than Marl against Tupa, or not Tupa part, or rather Glob. So, the only things that can consistently catch Glob also can get owned pretty easily by Glob if the Glob player is smart. Now I'm just going to go over the pros and cons of Glob. Obviously, you can read them on screen if you don't want to listen to my voice, but you should, or else you're a fucking loser. Anyway, Pro 1, you can basically be unkillable with Glob if you play the game properly. If you're not trying to fight things that are completely unreasonable for Glob to fight, you'll probably win most fights if you just run away and not fight stupid things. You're never going to really run out of food and water and stamina, and since it's an omnivore, which is another giant attribute for Glob, you're basically never going to be out of food. Water is a different story, because if there's a bunch of Suchalars and Burrows in a server, then water is going to be a little bit scary, trying to get it, but, you should really be fine. It is basically the best. It's probably second best survivalist creature in the entire game. By far the best terrestrial survival creature in the entire game. Your walk speed is decent enough that you can you don't have to stop and sit. You can constantly be moving around, gaining stamina by just walking instead of, just sitting. And the thing is, Glob technically doesn't have any direct counters. If you're playing the game properly, you're never going to die as Glob. You can fight off, what can kill you, or catch you rather, and you can escape what can kill you. So, Glob technically has no counters if you look at it like that. But yeah, Glob is just really good, and from a non-PvP aspect, it's arguably one of the best creatures, if not the best creature in the entire game. If from a completely survivalist standpoint, Glob is the best terrestrial creature in the entire game. And the reason it's not the best creature, or best terrestrial, or not best terrestrial, the reason it's not the best creature in the entire game is because flyers exist, and flying is just broken for the most part when it comes to balance. So yeah, Glob is just epic if you're looking at it from a survival standpoint. But most people don't, because they're fucking losers. But still, Glob's epic. You just suck. Get good, noob. As you can see by the cons on screen right now, there's not a lot of cons to Glob. The only issues are you can't fight a whole lot other than low tiers and some flyers. Your combat stats kind of suck. And if you're shit at the game, Glob is not going to be good for you. Its unique attributes are going to be completely useless, and basically, you just need to get good and stop being poop at the game, you fucking loser. In conclusion, everyone knows that Globbersaurus is kind of a meme. However, its unique attributes are incredibly good if you are good at the game, and if you learn how to utilize them properly, they are very epic. And if you can't use them properly, you fucking suck. It's literally a skill issue. You suck. You are donkey poo balls. You suck. You are bad. Get good at the game. Or maybe just quit. Because, Glob's pretty easy to use. If you can't use it properly, you fucking suck. You fucking beanbag looking motherfucker. Fuck you. Like and subscribe for more Pedagondia Faunas content. Smile.